responsive, and do feel free to share any information you want about you, where you're from, your organization in the chat box as we keep going. I am Dawn Thomany, and I am one of the presenters today, but more importantly, have the opportunity to help be a part of the leadership for the Northwestern Rocky Mountain USDA Regional Food Business Center, where we've been fortunate enough to secure some resources to support our region's food systems in some really unique ways, which you're going to hear about today. I'm going to be joined here by Audrey Welsh, who's in charge of our evaluation and operations for the center, and Jana Malone, master's research assistant, who's been helping with our evaluation today. But most importantly, all of us want to welcome you to the webinar today, where we're excited to share some of our stories, not just because we think it's super important, but in this era where, we want to be overly ambitious about sharing the impacts that federal funding can have with people who are on the ground trying to be entrepreneurial. We think is a particularly timely discussion for today. So we welcome you to ask questions as you want throughout the presentation in the chat box, because at least two of us won't be presenting while the other one's presenting, and we'll do our best to share any information we think could be helpful. Questions that are better to talk about at the end of the presentation, we're going to leave enough time to talk about, but we want this to be interactive at all possible, and we're just excited to see so many of you here today. So again, I'm Dawn Thomany, and I will be kicking off today, but we'll be hearing for several people from the center. Sorry for the review for many of you who are well aware of this, but just to remind everybody, the USDA Regional Food Business Centers were initiated about 2 years ago now. We opened up in July 2023, and we follow what the structure of many of them are, which is focusing on connecting, strengthening, and scaling food supply chains in our region. And we've been very fortunate to take the mission that the USDA gave us to follow, which is supporting small and mid-tier food and farm businesses, particularly post-farm gate. So once the product is made, the harvest has happened, how do we get them more embedded in their local and regional food systems? We took that mission very seriously, and we're very fortunate, along with Oregon State and partners in all 6 of the states, to put together a pretty amazing team to focus those energies, not only on underserved people, but underserved areas, where if any of you are from the West know, there are lots of far-reaching places and very rural areas. So we took that charge very diligently. The USDA kind of gave us the activities to focus on, but just to give you a little bit of context of how we put them into play. First, we were very focused on connectivity, and much of our first year particularly was spent putting our team together. In addition to about 35 team members across those 6 states, we also had our state teams and our theme teams put together advisory boards. And so we really represent about 120 some people now who have some connection to the center. Yeah, please do mute yourselves if possible, folks. So we spent a lot of time on connectivity, not just within building our team, but because those teams had those great linkages, particularly through the advisory boards, really getting to know our region better and some of the key players, because sometimes the very best talent and very best ideas weren't in our home states, they were across the region, and we've really benefited from that increased connectivity. Second, we started putting together technical assistance programs. These go all the way from one-on-one advisements on grants to workshops that contain 50, 60, 70 people. But more importantly, we could go really fast with our center because we had such really rich partnerships between land grants and nonprofits and our state departments of agriculture. Many times we were just elevating the programs that were already there, or scholarshiping people where it was some barrier keeping them from being in the program, or taking a program from one state and making it available across the whole 6 states. So we really did benefit from our partnerships and that connectivity there, because we could expand so quickly with programs that were already on the ground. And then finally, a step we're just now getting our stride on, capacity building, where the USDA gave us the opportunity to put grants out on the ground ourselves as a center. So very often, particularly me as an academic, I'm a faculty here at Colorado State University, we'll do a workshop with someone, see a great diamond in the rough, do our best to help them put a business plan or a strategy together, maybe help them write a grant and hope they get the money. Now we're all in this position that when we see the best and brightest ideas, we're able to actually seed them with what we call the Biz Builder program grants. So what our goal is today is to actually bring these things to life. We've been talking about them for 2 years. Today, you get to see how some of the stories are starting to play out with the impacts that we're making with some of these activities. So we're super excited to share those. And so with that, let me give you one more piece of context that's useful for our center besides defining ourselves by states, which you see the map there. We decided to have themes and some other extended partnerships. So we focus these on where we saw the greatest opportunities in our region, which is connecting and scaling food entrepreneurs, supporting right-sized infrastructure and investing, because sometimes it's not one business we're investing in businesses that touch many businesses, and those are community investments. We're helping to continue to build meat supply chain capacity, which we've been doing in this region a long time under the leadership of MPAM, because they were operated out of Oregon State. And then in response to the changing conditions that have people changing their crop rotations, we chose to take on new markets for grains, pulses, and pseudo cereals, because this region is particularly rich in bringing those supply chains back into life. We also have a partner with Tahoma Peak Solutions that allowed us to take on this challenge of looking at native grown and gathered opportunities with tribal nations. And we'll also, with our Biz Builder program, look for where we have little pockets of opportunities that aren't well defined by one state or one theme, where we can put some money on the ground and make an impact as well. So the reason that's important to understand is as we go through our impact stories today, we kind of themed each of them by not just the activity they did, but also where they kind of fit in these themes that we've decided to really focus on. Next slide. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the folks who have been leading these evaluation and reporting efforts. Audrey Welsh, again, our evaluation and operations lead, and Jana Malone, her research assistant with this project. So take it over, ladies.
Awesome. Thank you, Dawn. So to start, we just kind of wanted to talk about our 2024 reach. And so thinking of those pillars that Dawn spoke about, our connectivity, our technical assistance, our investments, we really wanted to map this out and say, okay, what does this look like? How are we reaching our region? And what's the quality of that reach? And so as you can kind of see here to the left, it's a layered map, so can't show it all, but you can kind of see our connections that are in gray. What's in blue is our technical assistant that we've been able to get boots on the ground, and then our investments, our capacity building with our Biz Builder, which is just getting going. So I'm really excited to see how that expands. But with those, I mean, we've helped create over 1,000 partnerships. And with all those with our technical assistance programs, we've helped support 504 businesses. With our one-on-one support services that we provide, we've helped clients get additional funds, and that's 76, which is wonderful. So they've received a different grant through our support, whether that's helping connect them with someone or helping them with the writing. And then we've helped create over 100 new farm and food business organizations through our incubator programs or with our other key partners. And so these are all wonderful numbers. And I mean, it even goes further. This is in our PPR, which is under AMS, or the USDA is known as our progress performance report. And so these are other things we're looking at. And these are all wonderful numbers, you know, partnerships with underinvested communities, coordinated use of resources, and then, you know, 6 different training topics, whether that's value chain coordination or market development. These are all things that on the evaluation team, we're just fine-tooth combing all of our clients and just really trying to understand how are they engaging with us now and 6 months from now. And what does that impact look like? And so why we mention these numbers is these numbers each have a story. And so that is where Jana Malone comes in. And we've spent the last 6 months just talking with these clients and understanding how they're engaging with the center. And so we'll go from there. So Jana, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Jana. So the numbers presented by Audrey show how the center is creating connections, providing TA across the region, but we also want to share the stories of individual farm and food businesses to show how the center programs are making meaningful impacts for individuals across the region. So in this next section, we'll cover some of the TA programs delivered in the States and how specific businesses were able to benefit from center programming by creating connections, receiving funding, and accessing business development resources.
Awesome. So we're going to start out with the Wyoming team. I don't know if we have any of the Wyoming team on the call, but that is co-led by Melissa and Anders, and then their coordinator, Jennifer. And one of their programs that we wanted to highlight around a story is their Wyoming Startup Business Builder Grant Market course. It's a guide to selling Wyoming local foods. It's a wonderful partnership between the University of Wyoming Extension, Small Business Development Center, as well as the Department of Agriculture. And they put together this 6-part educational series aimed for local food producers and food businesses. And this program was able to get 60 folks enrolled. And of the course that they went through, it was from business planning, food safety, taxes, liability, secret sauce to packaging, labeling, and pricing. I mean, all of these things that you think of. And this was a free series. And so from this free series that they hosted, they had 27 folks be eligible to apply for their Biz Builder program. And so that is one of the stories Jana is going to highlight.
So Taste of the Wind is a small-scale livestock operation in Laramie. The owner, BJ, who's pictured in the slide here, and her family raise Icelandic sheep using a seasonal grazing system. And she currently has 50 ewes and several rams, which offer a diverse range of products. So she sells lamb meat, wool, and pelts. And this is both direct to consumer as well as to wholesale markets. BJ is committed to sourcing and processing locally, as well as connecting consumers with other small scale ranchers. She's worked closely with the Wyoming Food Coalition, which is a partner of the center. And this organization has provided her with business knowledge, networking, and resources, which are specifically tailored to local producers. So BJ has participated in the Regional Food Business Center Business Builder online course. This helped her strengthen her business model and access new markets. And she reported that one of the most crucial aspects of this program was the networking opportunities, which allowed her to exchange knowledge and collaborate with other entrepreneurs that are doing similar work to her in Laramie. However, one of the biggest challenges that her business continues to face is the large upfront costs of processing animals, as well as the lack of a year-round income. So moving from being involved with TA programs with the center to capacity building, she also received a Business Builder Grant Award after participating in the online course and making further connections with the center. And with this grant funding, she plans to purchase tools to process livestock hides and fleeces, which will allow her to reduce waste, support her business's year-round income, and strengthen Wyoming's circular farm economy.
Awesome. Thank you, Jana. This is just a wonderful example. We thought of just how the Wyoming team was clever to think of the program and also have not only their clients engage from the technical assistance side, but then now to capacity building. So really just seeing our clients grow with us as a center. Okay, the other team we want to highlight is kind of a mix of the two teams. We have the Washington team that we wanted to highlight first. So the Washington team has been supporting spaces for farmers, ranchers, and food businesses, and they've been doing this through their WA meetups. They also had a summit recently where it's a partnership and collaboration between WSCA, WSU, and the Regional Food Business Center, and it supported the summit of 25 producers, processors, service providers across the state of Washington to learn and network, as well as learn about market channels. in addition to their Washington State's drive and their team's drive to support these spaces, they also collaborated with one of our teams, the Connecting and Scaling Food Entrepreneurs team, to host the Getting Your Recipe to Market. This is a really fun 12-week training course that helps food entrepreneurs turn their idea into a commercial ready food product. And the RFBC sponsors the tuition fee for 4 entrepreneurs across the 6 states. And so this program, they really focus on making sure that you're getting prepared for the commercial market, you're getting that one-on-one support, and just really understanding the industry essentials and just avoid common mistakes that most food entrepreneurs make from the get-go or from the beginning. So then it can really just turn into long-term success in the future. And so Dana's going to tell a story about one of our participants.
Yeah, so one of the businesses that was able to benefit from this program is Ajaswe, which is a regenerative certified food business in the greater Seattle area. And they partner with farms across the Pacific Northwest to source specialty grains and cereals. And they actually make them into savory pancake mixes that are available both in their online store as well as retail stores across their region. The owner, Ash, is really dedicated to uplifting these small and mid-scale regenerative farms, while also introducing new culinary experiences to her consumers. And she sees her business as a way to support both farmers and producers, as well as her customers and future generations, as she's really like environmentally sustainability motivated. And she participated in the Getting Your Recipe to Market program this past year. And here she was able to present her products to buyers and receive valuable feedback about her ideas. And after getting involved with the center programming, the center was able to connect Ash with the Washington State University Bread Lab. Here at the Bread Lab, she was able to gain access to milling equipment, and she was also able to get connected to the Oregon State University Food Innovation Center, where she conducted kitchen and product development tests. And here at the Food Innovation Center, she was able to work with a key partner of the Regional Food Business Center, who's pictured here, Sarah Missoni. And she's a food scientist who works with entrepreneurs as well as small and mid-sized food companies to help them create their food and beverage products.
Awesome. Another story we wanted to highlight was from our Montana team. So Montana Department of Agriculture already has some incredible infrastructure for food and ag businesses. They have the Food and Ag Business Enhancement Program. This program is designed for businesses in value-add agricultural and middle of the supply chain food activities. They have a 3-tiered approach. They have the MSU's Food Product Development Lab, which is 40 hours they get of research development, product recipe development, sensory evaluation, which I have no idea what that is, but that sounds wonderful. They have the Montana Manufacturing Extension Center, which is 16 hours of technical assistance, including planning, HACCP training, food safety training, as well as other consultant services. So they have up to $2,000 worth of training consultant fees that they are able to support. And so here is one of our key partners over at the state of Montana that they already have an incredible program. And so using the center as a way to uplift these programs is definitely been a strategy of the directors of the center. So thank you, Dawn and Lauren. And so Dana's going to talk about one of our stories.
Yeah, so we were able to talk with Darren and Darlis Nordhagen, who are 3rd-generation Montana farmers, and they launched North of Nowhere in 2020 to bring regenerative ranching to Opheim, Montana, which is a rural community located up near the Canadian border. And they raised steers on pasture for 2 years with no grains, hormones, or antibiotics. So they're able to offer nutrient-dense meat to their customers. And they offer beef for local pickup near Bozeman, as well as beef snack sticks, which are available for delivery across the United States. And they're really inspired by supporting the Montana economy, so they source their inputs and process their meat within the state. And being located in a very rural area, they're very committed to contributing to their community by supporting local events and showcasing the importance of regional products. So North of Nowhere was connected with the Mission West Community Development Partners, which is a food, agricultural, and cooperative development center founded by Jan Tusick, who is a center partner. And Mission West, as well as the Regional Food Business Center, provided North of Nowhere the opportunity to complete this food and ag business enhancement program. The program allowed Darren and Darlis to develop recipes, to produce sample products, and even invest in specialized equipment, which allowed them to bring their business ideas to life. And they were also able to work with Sarah Missoni to develop recipes and learn about food safety. And they're even hoping to get their beef sticks in the Montana School Backpack Program to provide high quality food to kids in need.
Awesome. Thank you, Jana. Again, another story with Montana, but also with the Connecting and Scaling Food Entrepreneurs team. Lastly, we're going to tell a story about the Colorado State team, but I'm going to hand it over to Dawn, since Dawn has been very embedded in some of the Colorado programs. So Dawn, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thanks. And Libby Christensen, who is one of the team leads, is also on the call, and she probably could do this more so, but I won't pitch it to her because we didn't give her a heads up. But one way we have continued to repeat on this call that we decided to be impactful as a center is, again, rather than go and create a lot of new things, really look for where there were already opportunities to elevate programs that were already there. So it's really almost us jointly going after better connectivity and technical assistance at the same time. And two great examples here in Colorado lean into an amazing entrepreneurial network that already exists here for development of entrepreneurs. One of them is that we've had partners doing something called the Idea Factory for quite a while, more broadly for entrepreneurs. But what Libby challenged folks to think about in that network was, could we customize one with some support from the center that focused particularly on challenges for food and ag entrepreneurs? So for the first time this year, they took that 4-week program, they customized it to be both have some expertise online, some mentors available, and some discussions that were particularly unique to the nuances of food and agricultural entrepreneurs. And they focused on 15 founders in that 4-week program in that space. And what we found really clever was how they do that is that we had the final outcome be these 90-second pitch videos, which could be shared with people they wanted to get to invest in them, advise them, mentor them, buy from them. And that was a really unique thing that challenged them more than they could ever thought. How hard it could be to make a 90-second pitch, but they all found it. I think some of them did theirs like 10 times. And so Libby and I really enjoyed getting the opportunity to both watch them, coach them on them, and see how they told their stories in a compelling way for whatever they needed as a partner to go forward to, that those pitches could be used for. Second, we had a partner here in Colorado who used to be called Naturally Boulder. And one of the challenges we gave them was to think of themselves more broadly. So now they're Naturally Colorado, and we're excited to have them both as a partner always, but with that new name particularly because it makes rural Colorado feel far more included. But they had been doing business pitches for food entrepreneurs for years. Well, the new thing we've done to pivot that program is to not just use them as a renamed Naturally Colorado, but their partnerships with us and some of these other food entrepreneur networks around the state to have a series of regional pitches across the state that would name a winner, then bring all of those pitch winners from the regions of Colorado into Colorado for one big collision pitch. That was neither me nor Libby's first choice for a name, but we're calling it the collision. And then you kind of have the best of the best step in and have an opportunity not just to showcase their business, but get linked in with this great network of people who are also doing what they're doing cleverly in other parts of the state. So, and now, because some of those have done well, they're now getting launched into our Biz Builder. So these are truly the folks that are getting all 3 touch points of our center. They're getting better connected, better technical assistance, and now being invested in because of activities we're doing with that. So for one example of that, We have Roaring Fork Mill. They're out of Carbondale, Colorado. But again, they connect very well with our new markets team for grains. They first had Libby get them connected with folks at our collisions where they met some of the people they needed to elevate their business. Now they've gone on to be formal parts of our technical assistance programs. And as of this spring, they're now a recipient of one of our Biz Builder grants. And they're particularly interesting because although it's going to be great for them to build their own business, including connections Libby made with them with some of the ski resorts. So now when you get your s'mores at the fancy smancy ski resorts of Colorado, you will be eating graham crackers made from some of the grains coming out of Roaring Fork Mill. Beautiful connection Libby can make with a market participant. But backward linking, they're also being better connected with the grain chain that's emerging in Colorado so that they're providing the milling services for a larger set of producers as well. So this is also just an example of the ripple effects we hope to take place more and more the longer the center is around. So these folks both are directly benefited by the center, but because of these other activities we're doing, the ripple effect they have with other businesses and farms and ranches in the region is also escalated.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. And thank you, Dana, for capturing these stories. How the process was the teams went and elevated certain stories that they wanted to be told. And Dana spent the last 6 months meeting with these businesses, investigating, finding ways to elevate their stories. And so as we are starting to wrap up, one of the things that we wanted to say was around the year-to-date 2025 Biz Builder recap that is currently underway. The reason why I wanted to highlight this is as of yesterday, this is the current map of investments that we are making at the center in our 6-state region. And so as we think of the points on the map to the stories, I mean, we have so many more stories to come from all of these teams. And so if you come to next year's webinar, it might be 5 hours long telling all of these stories, but we just wanted to showcase that these are not just funding into city centers. These are really hitting these rural areas and telling these rural stories and how that impact goes beyond. And so as of now, we have 116 businesses funded. So that's a lot of work for Jana if we're to tell all the stories. So we have about 2 million that are pending allocation or have already been rolled out, and we have another 4 million unallocated. And so from there, I just want to pass it back over to Dawn to just kind of talk about the impact that's beyond the PPR, which I'll let you explain.
Yeah, thanks. So again, the Biz Builder program is that opportunity that the USDA has given us to be the people giving grants out on the ground, but they are our cooperators. Like, so even though we are our own independent center, in all of these, we're doing this cooperatively with USDA and having them look over those grants with us, approve those grants with us. But the other thing we should also say is that in addition to the grant money we're giving out, there continues to be a whole realm of USDA grants and specifically ag marketing service grants that we're also providing technical assistance for people to go after. Some are competing right now. And so even when we tell our story, we're undertelling our story because we really hope that beyond what our center can do, we're going to continue to let these businesses, farms, and ranches get other investments as well. And we have a whole part of our center focused on grant writing technical assistance under the right size team. So be aware that what we're really trying to do here is capture our most direct impacts. But what we want to start thinking about is the ripple effects of where these investments are. So again, showing this spatially, this is currently where the bigger the circle is, the more touch points we've had in that area of people we've interacted with, whether it's by technical assistance, connectivity, or Biz Builder grants. But we know that's only part of the story as well. Let's go back to the story we just shared about Roaring Fork Mill. We know they're doing business because in each one of these grant proposals, they were asked to say, give us letters or say who else they were doing business with who they were providing markets for, who they were doing sales with. So we know for the people we're touching, there's another 2, 10, 20, 25 farms and ranches they're interacting with and providing market access for, or food processing, or food distribution, or food retailing for. So the ripple effects get much bigger than this after you start paying attention to who they're impacting. So our challenge is beyond what USDA requires for reporting, which we all have to worry about, and that's that PPR acronym that was mentioned before. How else might we want to tell stories? And one way we already started is in those grant applications, we asked people to share who else was going to benefit. Well, now when we've given them the money this year, go back and ask them to tell us their story. We're going to try to have them help us capture who else benefited from this. When we gave you this money, who else got shelf space in your store? Who else was in your reefer truck getting distributed to another part of your state? Who else had a closer meat processor or grain miller they could use to keep it cost effective for them to do processing? And we're hoping to actually capture some of that through people directly telling us, but also we know there's secondary data out there. We're going to start hoping to see business startups, longer survival rates, higher survival rates, and more localized supply chains in these areas because of these investments. And that's our long-term plan. But we wanted to start today with these short-term stories just to start inspiring people that we really think we are making a difference on the ground. We would love we're going to, as we wrap up, we'll think about if there's ways we can brainstorm other ways we could tell our story. But, you know, our inspiration here is that every time we strategically thought about what to do with the center, we thought about how to make something better, bigger, and with more ripple effects. So we're hoping that that actually shows up. So the connectivity stories you've already heard from us, but again, if you're a partner or in our region or in another region and wants to connect with us about the way we could elevate our programs, please do not be shy. And if you're on the webinar today, you aren't. In terms of technical assistance, we're hoping again to track not just where people benefit from being better qualified to go after our Biz Builder grants, but we're trying to track whether they're going after some of the other many USDA grants or philanthropic funding opportunities or state funding opportunities that are available. Obviously, we're in an interesting time for that, where that whole landscape has changed. But if nothing else, we want people to feel more resilient and like they know more opportunities. If some of the programs they were leaning into go away, we hope we can introduce them to some of the new programs that might fill in those spaces. And then finally, with capacity building, that's where we do hold some direct control. We hope to continue to give grants. We have been so inspired by the quality of grants that we've seen. Some of our teams actually gave out more than they were supposed to this year because they just look so darn fundable. We're like, why go through another process if you already have a really good fundable set of projects? So we continue to hope to track those and have those folks share with us how we've made a difference in letting them take on a new program, try a risky venture they've always wanted to try but didn't have the backing to do. And so we hope to grow the region in many different ways in all of these ways. So with that, we only got to cover a few of our impact stories today. This QR code or the link Jana already shared is the other way to go look at the full set of stories. But more importantly, we can hope to continue to add through those throughout the year. That's going to be a dynamic page with new additions at all times. Chelsea, who is our marketing lead, also shared with you a link of how you can track us by subscribing to our newsletter or our various social media accounts, where I'd imagine as we have these new stories coming out, we'll post them in very real time. And so you can never say we haven't made it possible for you to know what's going on with the Northwest Rocky Mountain Food Business Center. We hope we didn't do too much, but we also hope some of the ideas today inspired you, that if you're a partner who's actually thinking about how you can reach into our center and do something more with your business, that some of these examples also show you what creative things are going on by our food businesses. So With that, I promise you we'd wrap up with plenty of time for questions. You can post any in the chat that you'd like to, but also anyone who's wanting to can certainly come off of mute and ask the questions directly as well. And it doesn't always have to be a question too. It could be advice. It could be links to where we can get you connected to the center if you're not already. Or you can all be very quiet.
And
we do
Chris,
have
there's a question. Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
was just gonna say we have about 10 more stories that will be released by the end of the summer that Jana will be working on that have been elevated by the team leads. So if you haven't scanned this QR code, we'll be sure to promote those stories in other ways. So go ahead, Martha. Just wanted to mention that.
Sure. No, I was just going to say there was a question Anne asked in the chat. How many of your supported businesses are cooperatives? So question about business structure.
We're not directly tracking that, but it would be easy enough to do. Actually, trying to remember in the Biz Builder grant applications, we went back and forth about asking about business structure. Audrey, what did we end up? Did we actually track those on Biz Builder? I know we're not doing it in our other evaluation protocols yet.
Yeah, we'll get that data next month. And
Okay.
so I know that we plan on making sure to keep that data sheet dashboard up to date so we can make sure that to include co-ops and business breakdown. But yeah, we'll have more information about co-ops in the future.
Yeah, I just know ad hoc from the ones I've seen, there's been at least some. I can think of 5 just offhand that I know are co-ops that I've seen in our programs. But again, so for that question, Anne, I guess do you think I guess that is an important thing because it actually shows us a possible way for ripple effects as well. And I do know the rural cooperative business development centers got their funding either challenged or axed. I don't remember. So maybe it is particularly a good time for us to pick up the reins and make sure the co-ops out there are feeling supported if they have seen any challenges. That's a good way to characterize that. So that is that something the USDA asked, Audrey? Was that in the new PPR?
I know it's for our Biz Builder recipients that we just under these last 6 months have, so we'll be asking that question. I can't recall if it's under.
But we can add it for the other.
Yeah.
Let's add it for the other survey as well. That's a great idea. Good question, Anne. Any other questions? So Anne, that's a great job. So we in Colorado have known the CDFIs. So they're community supported finance initiatives. I don't ever get that acronym quite right. But what we have to admit in Colorado, we'd probably not done nearly what we should have done. So Brian Copham, who co-leads with Libby for the Colorado team, isn't on here, but he has definitely been reaching out. And I, for the first time, got to go to their national conference last fall. Obviously, they're feeling a little bit concerned and under fire with federal funding, but we've explored everything from, well, the 3 main things are they are providing, great technical assistance in this area too, particularly for community level initiatives. So we're definitely doing some handoffs to them right now. Second, there's some of our producers that even though a grant is a great blessing, cash flowing the investment long enough to wait for the reimbursement from the government sometimes is harrowing. So we know some centers have been really exploring using a CDFI as a bridge fund because they offer very low interest loans, as you all know. And then third of all, again, we know the long-term sustainability of anything we do with the center is going to be based on having warm handoffs we can make to other partners. And I think the CDFIs represent a very big financing partner. So we're really, quite honestly, at least in Colorado, and other people from the center can pop off, investing in building that relationship with some CDFIs, because we just see the writing on the wall that we'll need some folks to hand people to when the investments get bigger than our Biz Builder grants allow, and maybe no longer are grant appropriate. They're really about funding, but funding with good terms. So yes, but not enough is the answer, I guess I should say.
Yep, and you hit on exactly the one I was going to comment on that I'm most familiar with, and that's Craft 3's bridge funding in
Yep,
Oregon,
so that
Oregon and
is-
Washington.
Yeah, and Brian's continuing to work with them too. There's a big one in California called I think it's Land Link. I always get mixed up. Libby, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're actually even just figuring out Farm Link, and we're even figuring out if maybe we could take their model and transpose it over here in Colorado, because we have a lot of the same development pressures, interest in new young farmers. So we're also looking at partnering with them on whether we actually want to mimic them. So all the answers are yes, but I would say all the answers are also in development.
That's awesome to hear.
Well, and Anne, thank you for being our questions. Otherwise, everyone's being very quiet. And it's fine if everyone's quiet. We know a lot of people even are just from the center, and we realize we are a big enough center that just making sure you know everything we're doing with the center is important. And I imagine even people with our own center probably learned one new thing today, because some of this data is pretty hot off the presses. So this is what we hope to continue to do as a center, is not make it hard at all to know what we're doing, where to find it, and hope even some of it inspires people who didn't realize, well, maybe the center is a good match for what we're trying to do in this project, in this space. If even these impact stories also say we should be trying that same thing in our county or our 3-region county, share these far and wide as examples to people who have been thinking about stuff, in case something we are doing is exactly aligned with what they want to do. Audrey, I'm going to let you field this question. Anne is asking, how do you manage communications and a coordination across all the different types of organizations? That's why Audrey is now officially our operations director.
I fell into it. This has been a very interesting problem to create a solution around, because depending on your key partners or your staff, they might have certain restrictions on what software that they can use. We found we tried Slack. Slack wasn't the best across the teams. And we've actually decided Monday.com was the best. And so not only do we use Monday.com to talk across teams, but we use it as an automation tool that when folks fill out an intake form with the center, they're trying to reach us in some way, we have been able to not only connect it with the right person with some of the automation tools within Monday.com, but we've also been able to have the backend CRM to it, so we can go and check in on that client, see how one of our key partners responded to it, pass it over to another key partner, and where that client is in that pipeline. And so we have around 2,000 clients, I think is what we're up to right now in our CRM, and folks reaching out to us and inquiring about things. And so that has been a really effective tool for us. We're always learning new ways to engage with it, but it is a low barrier tool too. They make automation pretty low barrier for even, the most simple of tech users. So that is what we've been using. Good question.
Great. And if you're interested in chatting more about technical details, I'm very interested in this as a type of infrastructure, and work with a variety of different projects in varying stages of readiness, most of them sort of medium to early. So maybe not quite ready for you yet, but it could be soon. So I'm happy to talk more offline.
Thank you.
Great questions, Anne. Anyone else? We don't have to hold the whole time. We just wanted to make sure we left enough time. Oh, one more question. When do you anticipate the next grant cycle opening? That we did just put our first set of dollars on the ground, but we also, once we have that infrastructure set up, it's going to be far easier and more timely to put our next set of dollars on the ground. So I think our goal is early 2026, but I'll let Audrey confirm that. And again, we let our teams kind of we have some of our programming that's not on the ground yet, like Washington and Oregon still have their programs coming out this year. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, but I'll let Audrey fill in the details.
Yeah, so Emma is from Colorado. So originally our business builder program has been released in ways depending on which state you're from or what themes you're from. We are restructuring it and in hopes to kind of have all the state programs maybe go out around the same time or have a different way of modeling that. So it's unanimous across our whole region. And so that might be the beginning of next year. And so, but we will make sure that in our newsletter to make sure to have those updates for folks. And so, Emma, if you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, I would definitely do that because that's where we'll have their latest and greatest information.
Yes, and it's a little bit of a dance because we choose them, the recipients, then they go to the USDA for approval. And then of course we want to make sure the recipients themselves know about it and have time to understand that it's going to be public and they might get questions and so forth. So there's almost like a months of lag time between when the recipient kind of first knows and then when it's released. But we're just preparing a press release to go out finally for even our first set that we've known about for months, but are official now. So, stay tuned for those. But now again, that we've started again, it's going to be a rolling effect. Like, took us a long time to put this on the ground under the leadership of Lauren. And then she had Audrey and Rebecca helping her operationalize those grants. But now that that's all figured out, I can't imagine there's going to be ever more than a month or two in between having a program on the ground just because the system's set up now. So stay tuned. And it's the reason again to be on the newsletter is we can't tell you exactly right now, but the newsletter is always going to give you plenty of time to plan. Good questions, everybody. And we're so glad to have so many people come today. Please do not be shy about reaching out to the center. If you're not signed up with us yet, please do so. Again, using this QR code and maybe bookmarking the page that this is at, very easy for you to stay abreast of what we're funding. Because again, in addition to that being something we're very proud of, it could be an inspiration for the types of things this center might allow you or the people you're collaborating with to do. Excited to see a couple of you from other centers, and please do invite us when you start telling your stories because we want to be inspired by you too. And otherwise, don't be shy. Reach out to the center anytime you think we can be helpful or help you connect you with someone. Or like I said in the newsletter, we're going to continue to try to promote not just what our impacts are, but the new programs coming online. I think there's at least 5 technical assistance things coming up in the next month, for instance. So there's lots of ways to get connected with us and benefit from us besides the grant programs too. Quite honestly, a lot of those, from what we saw from this Biz Builder round, a lot of the people who met us through a technical assistance program were better able then to compete in the Biz Builder grants because of something they learned, did, or refined in those programs. So share them with your networks if not, if they're not directly relevant for you yourself. And we'll stay here as long as people are here, but otherwise we'll probably conclude for the day. But thank you very much for coming. I have to give great thanks to having an incredible center team of like I said, over 30 people, but particularly for this project, Audrey and Jane have just been a dream team to actually put these impact stories together. As an ag economist, I have never been able to brag about the visuals or creativity of any report I've ever done before, but these look beautiful. So they're great for a number of people to have as a team member, but good job. And again, we know we are so blessed that the federal government gave us the money to actually help do all this work on the ground. We do not take it for granted at all. And I hope the stories today made that crystal clear to everybody. So thank you for coming and tell us how we can help.